and policies. When we talk about economic objectives, stop pricing. When we talk about economic objectives, we're talking about what the government is trying to achieve, what the government of the country is trying to achieve. So the government of the country might set certain targets, like ensuring that there's low inflation in the economy, ensuring that there's low unemployment, that means an increase in employment, ensuring that there's economic growth and a balance of payments between import and export. So these are the targets of every government. Because if these things are done, and if these targets are met, then the economy or the country will become better. Do you get it? So we start with low inflation. What is inflation? Inflation is a persistent or consistent rise in the general price level of goods and services in a country. So when the price of goods and services continue to rise in a country, then that country is witnessing what we call inflation. I think inflation is clear. So what does government want to do? Government wants to ensure that the inflation rate is what? At a lower rate, less than 2%. So look at what inflation is a persistent, we're talking about that. So the government would want to reduce the inflation rate due to the following problems that high inflation rate could cause. If inflation is not reduced in the country, if inflation continues to rise in the country, then there are problems the country will face. One of the problems are one, real income falling. The real income, that's the amount of money you make, will not be enough for you to even spend on. Because at that point in time, the amount of money you have, when you take away what you want to spend, it becomes lesser. Your real income is spent from your disposable income. Your disposable income is the amount of money left that when you have paid all your expenses that you can save. That means you've paid your taxes, you've paid your interest or loans, whatever you need to pay. You have paid them. So what is left for you that you can either save or spend is what we call disposable income. So your real income is part of what you have to pay your interest from before you have your savings. Do you understand? So because there's inflation rate, what happens? Your real income will be falling. It won't be enough for whatever you need to buy or for whatever you need to do. Then what do you think about? You think about increasing salary. You want to tell your employers to increase your salary because your income is falling. The value of money will fall. Do you understand? With inflation, the value of money does what? Fall. So whatever you used to have will not be enough like how it used to be. Do we get it? Do we get it, please?
Yes.
So workers will not be able to buy goods and services or services that they used to buy if prices continue to rise. This will lead to them asking for increase in wages. They will need more money. 2. Price of goods produced in the country will be higher than those of the other countries. This will reduce exports as the country will not be internationally competitive. So if there's inflation, that means whatever we produce in this country, the prices will be high. Then it won't be attractive for exports because exportation needs a lower price. So other countries that are producing with a lower price will be attractive to the international market than our country. Do you understand? So our country will not be as internationally competitive as it used to be because prices of goods and services has increased in our country. And we have to transfer these prices to the consumers. Do you understand?
Yeah.
3. Businesses are unlikely to expand. They may witness lower revenue, and as a result, there won't be employment, which may lead to a fall in the standards of living. The prices of goods and services has increased. Inflation rate is high. Spending will fall. Yes or no? Yes. So as spending falls, it affects the economy, it affects the businesses, because businesses will not be able to sell as they used to sell. So if they are unable to sell, then how do they want to even expand? Their revenue has fallen. They will not want to invest further because it is not certain that prices will come down. So the situation will not allow them, will not give them that incentive to produce more or to increase or to put more investment in the business. As a result of that, they will not want to employ workers. It's only when there is an increase in output because of high demand of goods and services that businesses will want to improve, will want to increase their output. If customers are not buying, what do they want to sell? How do they want to think about increasing or expanding their business? So they can only expand when it's certain that the economy is moving, the economy is growing. Consumers are demanding for the goods and services they produce. Do you understand? Therefore, low inflation will encourage businesses to expand as household spending power increases. Firms will need to increase their workforce and resources to meet up with the increasing demand in the economy. But if there's low inflation, the spending power will rise. People will want to buy more goods and services. So the demand for goods will increase. As a result of that, businesses will want to, put on to meet up with this demand. And how can they meet up with this demand? By buying more raw materials, by employing more workers. And if this happens, what happens to the standard of living? The standard of living will rise. Because at that point in time, a lot of people will have been employed. A lot of people will have jobs. And it's only when you have job that you can have income. And it's only when you have income that you can spend. Do you understand? So spending in an economy will be based on the prices of goods and services in that economy. If prices are cheap, if prices are falling, the spending power will rise. People will be able to buy. Businesses will be able to invest more. Because at that point in time, the output will be increasing based on the demand for goods and services in that economy. Do you understand inflation? Yeah. Low inflation, right? Yeah. We continue with government economic objectives and policies. We already talked about inflation. Why government wants low inflation? Government wants low inflation because the price of goods and services will determine if we are able to buy or not. If prices continue to rise in the economy, then the spending power of consumers will fall. Then it affects our standard of living. So this is why government would always want a low inflation rate. I think that was clear, right? Now we go to the second objective of government, low unemployment. What is unemployment? Unemployment is a situation whereby individuals who are willing and able to work couldn't find one. They are unable to get a job. This is unemployment. Are you with me? Yes. So if unemployment persists in an economy, it affects the living standard because the income level in that economy will fall. You get it? Mm-hmm. Are you with me, guys? Yes. So low unemployment, look at what I wrote. Unemployment is a situation which arises when people who are of age category willing to work but cannot secure any job. They couldn't get any job. So if this occurs, if this happens in a country or in an economy, what is the consequence? One, unemployed people do not produce goods and services, which means outputs in that country will fall. They don't produce. Someone that is at home does nothing. So you're not increasing the output of that economy. Do you understand why output is falling here? The resources are used, but nobody are using them. A lot of resources are going on and no output is produced. They are not working. So if people are not working, if people are not employed, it means they are not producing. I think it's clear. Yes. 2, high rate of unemployment will increase government spending on unemployment benefits, and at the same time reduces the revenue they get on tax. Government would start spending on benefits, social benefits like unemployment benefits. Government have to pay them, those that are not working. They are not doing nothing. So there's what we call transfer payments. Government what? Transfer payments. These are social benefits from government. It increases government spending. So government will continue to spend and at the same time don't get revenue. Because if they are working, if those people that are unemployed are employed, it means they will pay income taxes. Right? But they don't work, they're not working. So government spending will increase, at the same time, their revenue will fall, which might even cause what we call a deficit budget. Is it clear? So that's about it. So with these problems, it is important for government of an economy to find a way out. If not, the economy is going down. The economy is going to decline. Is it clear? You have any questions about it? Good. The third one, economic growth. When we talk about economic growth, we're talking about a rise in the country's GDP, the national income. So look at what I wrote. The economy is considered growing if the GDP of such country continue to rise. A country experiencing an increase in GDP will experience improvement in their standards of living. So if a country's GDP continues to rise, it means that country is doing well. The standards of living in that country will improve. Employment opportunity will be more. So people will have jobs. That's what we mean by economic growth. There are jobs for people to do. The spending power of people will increase. People People will have money to buy whatever they need to buy. The standard of living will improve. The rich might be richer. The poor can get better. Do we understand? Any question about it? But if the country is experiencing a fall in its GDP, what happens? One, the living standard will fall. That means that country is not doing well. Output in that country will fall. Then the spending power or the demand, the aggregate demand in that country will fall. Is it clear? Two, less investment in the economy. Businesses would not want to invest because people are not spending. So they won't have the confidence to invest further because they are not even selling. So when you are not buying, businesses will not have revenue. And because they don't have revenue, that gives them a disincentive to produce further. It doesn't give them incentive to produce because people are not buying. So investment will reduce in the economy. And when investment reduces in an economy, what happens to employment? What? Decrease. Decrease, yeah. Employment will fall because firms are not expanding. It's only when they expand that they employ more. It's only when they expand they get more raw materials. But there's no expansion because the GDP is what? No. The GDP is what? Falling. Is it clear? So we go to business cycle. When we talk about business cycle, we call it economic cycle, we call it trade cycle. What does this imply? It applies to the stages at which the country go through in terms of GDP. So here we have the growth, the boom, recession, slump, growth, and boom. For growth, this is when the GDP starts increasing, starts rising. The output in that country starts increasing. The national income starts increasing. That's what we call growth. Is it clear? Yes. And after that stage, because your output in the country has increased, because the standard of living in that country has improved, people can spend more, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the demand in that country will rise more than even supply. Then there's boom. At that point in time, prices will what? Will rise. Because the demand in that country has increased. Are you with me? Yes. When people have a lot of money to buy, then the demand will increase in the country, yes or no? Yes. So as the demand increases in the country, on resources that are limited in supply, then firms will be trying to increase their prices so that they can maximize profits. At that point in time, prices will rise. So when prices rise, it leads to recession. And what is recession? Economic downturn, decline in the economy. That means a decline in the economy for 2 consecutive years. No, 2 consecutive 6 months. That's 4 quarters. 6 months, the first 6 months and the second 6 months. So in a year, if there's a decline in economic activity, then there's recession. Do you understand what recession is here? So recession is as a result of what? A fall in the GDP, which might be because of less spending in the economy. People are unable to spend anymore because prices have increased during the boom. Do we understand growth? Yes. Boom, slump, and recession. Now we go to slump. Slump is a continuous recession. So the recession is being carried over. Do you understand? At this point in time, unemployment would have increased. It would have skyrocketed. Why? Because at that point in time, investment has fallen. Firms are unable to produce further. Supply starts reducing. So that's what we call slump. At this point, it is important for the government of that country to do what? To make policies. To go back to what? Go. Do you understand? So government policies are important here. Maybe monetary policy, maybe supply side policy, maybe fiscal policy. Government must ensure that a policy is used to ensure that they go back to growth. Then after growth, it goes to boom, and again, and again. Is it clear?